Unchain Your Mind: Why Thinking Not Working Builds Legacy. If you believe hard work alone will make you successful, then allow me to free you from that illusion. The man who labors without direction is not on the path to greatness. He is simply surviving. But the man who thinks with purpose, he is a builder, a commander, a king. While both may sweat, only one creates. The other endlessly toils, spinning the wheel of busyness with no destination in mind. If that sounds like your life, busy but not built, then prepare to be unchained. The world glorifies hustle, praises exhaustion, and idolizes effort. But what you truly need is not more energy, it is sharper thought. You've been conditioned to confuse motion with progress, suffering with sanctity, exhaustion with excellence. But motion without aim is drift. Effort without thought is slavery. Endless toil without law is not noble, it is unconscious bondage. I have studied the wealthiest, most powerful men in history, not through rumor, but through instruction. I learned directly from Carnegie, the man who produced more millionaires than anyone else. I absorbed the lessons of Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, Schwab, and Lincoln. And what I discovered is simple, yet life-altering. The world does not reward the hardest worker. It rewards the clearest thinker. The top 1% do not think like the 99%. Their thoughts are organized, their decisions rooted in law, their results born not of frenzy, but of focus. These men do not wait to be told what to do. They declare. They do not wonder. They decide. They do not act chaotically. They act with rhythm, with clarity, with a mind that governs action. So I tell you, hard work alone will not make you successful. It may help you survive, but it will not make you ascend. If you want to build legacy, fortune, and freedom, you must master the art of thinking, daily, deliberately, and with discipline. Carnegie once told me, "I can get men to do anything if I give them a plan." That sentence shattered the illusion of hustle. He did not depend on effort, he depended on direction. He aligned average men with a clear aim, and they produced extraordinary results, not because of superhuman strength, but because of superior clarity. You have worked hard, but where has it taken you? You rise tired, you return home drained. You are praised for effort, but starving for results. That is not your fault. That is the fault of a system that never taught you how to think with purpose. But that ends now. I will give you 8 mental disciplines, 8 laws of thought that separate the 1% from the rest. These are not quotes to memorize. These are weapons to wield. Blades, hammers, keys. If you obey them, your life will change. You are not here to try harder. You are here to think sharper. You are here to install law, rhythm, and decision into your soul. You are here to leave exhaustion behind and step into clarity. You are here not to beg for success, but to command it. You are here to think like the 1%. Part 1. The 1% begin with a written law. The 99% wait. They wait for opportunity, for inspiration, for the right time. They move in circles because they never draw a straight line. Their energy is scattered. Their labor is reactive. But the 1% do not wait. They declare. They write the law of their lives. They create a written command called a definite chief aim. It is not a wish nor a goal. It is the constitution of a man who has decided who he will become. Every great man I studied began his rise with a written purpose. Not a fleeting dream, but a clear, specific written law. Carnegie demanded that I write my purpose on paper and read it aloud twice a day, morning and night. Why? Because until the law is written, it cannot command the mind. Until it is spoken, it cannot move the soul. If you have no written aim, your energy is diffused. You are distracted by everything because you are committed to nothing. You chase shadows, you extinguish fires, but you build nothing lasting. That is not work, that is drift. If you are working without a definite aim, you may survive, but you will not ascend. Life obeys command, not confusion. And command begins with clarity of purpose. What is your aim? Not your hope, not your emotion. What is the law you are building your life upon? Say this aloud. I do not work harder, I think sharper. I act in law. Say it again. Let it root. Let it become rhythm. This is not motivation. This is installation. You are not trying to reach success. You are instructing your subconscious to obey a new law. Your written aim must ignite you. It must shake you. It must summon the image of the person you have decided to become. If it does not burn, it is not your aim. It is just noise, and noise changes nothing. I did not feel ready when I wrote mine. I did not feel worthy. But that was irrelevant. Writing it was the moment everything changed. For the first time, I gave my subconscious a command, not a complaint. You must stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel confident. Write the law now. The mind only obeys what is declared. Until you write it down, you are wandering. The 1% do not guess. They write. They do not wonder. They decide. They do not say, I'll figure it out. They say, this is the law I obey. Their entire empire is built from one written command. They wake with it, sleep with it, repeat it until it becomes real. There is no greater secret. Clarity repeated becomes command. Command repeated becomes identity. Identity repeated becomes results. And results repeated become legacy. But it all begins with one written statement of purpose. This is not optional. This is law. Do not ask, will it work? That is the language of the 99%. Do not ask, is it the right goal? That is the language of drift. Decide, write, repeat, obey. Let your rhythm form your reality. The man who rewrites his goal each week has no goal. He has insecurity. You will not be that man. Take the paper, write the law, read it aloud every morning, before the world speaks to you. Read it every evening, before sleep resets your identity. Speak it with conviction, even if your voice shakes. Let your subconscious hear it. Let it install. Let it rewire you. Say again, I do not work harder. I think sharper. I act in law. That is your new rhythm. That is your creed. That is the gateway to the 1%. You do not rise by effort alone. You rise by instruction. You do not build by tasks. You build by direction. You are not here to hustle. You are here to command. Write the law. Repeat the law. Obey the law. That is how kings are made. Think like the 1%, Part 3, Imagination as Command. The average man is a prisoner of memory. He wakes each day carrying the weight of yesterday, yesterday's failures, yesterday's fears, yesterday's doubts. He lets the past rule the present, seeking proof in what has already happened, and concluding that the future must resemble what has already been. He is shackled, not by fate, but by repetition, not by reality, but by the absence of vision. He looks back and sees only limitation, and because he cannot imagine something greater, he remains where he is. But the top 1% do not live this way. They live not by memory, but by imagination. They wake not with regret, but with vision. Their minds are not anchored in the past. They are pulled forward by images so clear, so compelling, that the present world bends to match them. They are not servants of their circumstances. They are architects of them. They do not merely react to the world, they create the world. This is not motivational fluff. This is law. Everything is created twice, once in the mind and once in form. The man who builds nothing in thought builds nothing in reality. The skyscraper, the empire, the fortune, they all begin in the invisible. Every palace is first a picture, every invention a spark, and every powerful man I've studied lived more in his imagination than in what was visible. Why? Because the invisible precedes the visible. The mind creates before the hand constructs. The spirit declares before the world obeys. Thomas Edison understood this. He was not merely a scientist, he was a visionary. Before the light bulb ever lit a single room, he saw it in his mind. He rehearsed it in silence. He walked through his laboratory in imagination, observing the invention in full form, finished, even when failure after failure met his physical experiments. He did not hope, he envisioned. He acted from that inner blueprint. You may ask, but how can I imagine what does not yet exist? And I say that is the very gift of man. Animals react, machines repeat, but man can imagine what is not yet real. Man can speak what has not yet formed. Man can give law to his mind, and by obedience to that law, command matter to organize around it. This is not fantasy. This is dominion. The 99% misuse this gift. They use imagination to picture what could go wrong. They rehearse tragedy, failure, embarrassment. They dwell mentally in fear, shame, and doubt. They build inner movies of loss, of inadequacy, of collapse, and their subconscious obeys. It begins to sculpt a life that mirrors those repeated inner rehearsals. They call it realism. I call it bondage. The top 1% do the opposite. They use imagination to command, not to escape, but to instruct, not to fantasize, but to form. They picture the exact outcome they seek. They see the business built, the speech delivered, the goal fulfilled. They do not just dream, they train their subconscious with clarity. This is the unseen power of creation. When the image is clear, the path begins to open. When the inner film is directed with precision, the outer world adjusts its script. Your imagination is the gateway to destiny. It is the factory of form. You must stop using it to replay the past. You must start using it to create the future. Each morning, do not merely plan your tasks. Enter your inner theater. See the day unfold as you would have it. See the call made with power, the deal closed with confidence, the creative act completed. Feel the result. Hear the words of success. Let your imagination become an instruction manual, not a complaint log. Edison didn't sit still and hope. He imagined to direct. Carnegie did not wonder if success might come. He envisioned it into command. Lincoln saw unity before the war was won. Rockefeller saw empires while others saw oil. These men didn't just think, they saw, and once seen clearly, they obeyed the vision. This is your third law. The 1% use imagination to command the future. You are not here to dwell on what was, you are here to declare what will be, and you will do this through disciplined imagination. Let this be your practice. Each morning, close your eyes. In silence, see the future you've chosen. Not a vague desire, not a soft picture. See the result clearly, one that aligns with your written aim. See the person you must become. See the result you will create. See the rhythm of your day moving in precision toward that image. Feel it not as a wish, but as law already in motion. Then, from that vision, you act. Not with hesitation, but with command. Not to be busy, but to bring the inner world into the outer one. You are not reacting, you are manifesting. You are not guessing, you are executing from vision. And at night, repeat. Before sleep, return to that inner world. See it again. Let your subconscious absorb it as law while you rest. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between fact and imagination. It responds to repetition and clarity. Feed it only the images that align with your purpose. Do this not once. Do this daily. Do this not to escape life, but to lead it. The 99% let the past repeat itself through imagination abused. The 1% create futures through imagination trained. You are not a slave to circumstance. You are not a creature of reaction. You are not here to remember what went wrong. You are a builder of the unseen. You are a sculptor of time. You are a commander of form. You are here to use imagination as law. Say this now. I do not dwell in the past. I command the future. I see what I will build. I act on what I have seen. This is how the 1% think. This is how they rise, not by labor alone, but by vision, not by hope, but by imagination used as command. And now so will you. The Builder's Code, Part 4, the power of vision, silence, and mental command. They visualize the aim fulfilled. They walk through the steps in the mind before taking them in the world. They feel the emotion of certainty as if the result were already theirs. They speak their goal aloud until it no longer feels foreign, until it becomes familiar, inevitable, and embodied. This is not idle dreaming. This is creation. This is the law of the builder. Say this now. I do not dream idly. I create with authority. This must become the law that governs your inner world. You are no longer daydreaming. You are blueprinting. You are not imagining possibilities. You are constructing inevitabilities. That's the difference between the wanderer and the commander. The wanderer hopes, the commander instructs. The dreamer waits, the builder acts. The ordinary man guesses, the top 1% installs. I say this from the full weight of experience. When a man visualizes with clarity and repetition, something remarkable begins to happen. His body starts to move in agreement with the image. His speech aligns, his posture shifts. His mind begins to filter reality to match what's been rehearsed. He recognizes new paths, new chances, and new allies, not through effort, but through alignment. Doubt dissolves, confusion weakens, begins to obey blueprint without even forcing it. You must now dedicate time each day to this sacred inner practice, not when convenient, not when inspired, but daily. At dawn, before distractions begin, or at night, when the world sleeps. Sit in silence. See the future you have chosen. See the chief aim you have written and walk through it in your mind. See it as if it were already achieved. Let it be so real to your inner eye that the outer world has no choice but to adjust. Do not wait for permission to see a future greater than your past. Command it. Close your eyes. Picture the man who has fulfilled your aim. See how he moves, how he speaks, what he has built, how he carries silence with him. Picture the results in full detail. See the world respond to him. See the fruit of his decisions, the depth of his presence, the strength of his yes, and the clarity of his no. See it until you believe it. Once you believe it, you will obey it. This is what I have learned from every master I've studied. The man who cannot see it will never command it. The man who mocks vision has already submitted to mediocrity. The man who refuses to rehearse greatness will stumble in its execution. But the man who lives his vision before it arrives, he shall rise without delay. Imagination is not a child's toy. It is the highest faculty of the builder. It is the chamber where laws of cause are written. It is the place where form is forged from the formless. It is where infinite intelligence whispers clearest. It is where futures are assigned and orders are drawn up. Say it again. I do not dream idly, I create with authority. You must now begin to speak your future aloud. You must picture it daily, not as a hope, but as a command. Not as longing, but as installation. The subconscious cannot resist repetition. When vision becomes familiar, the body and mind begin to serve it without resistance. The battlefield of discipline disappears. Action becomes automatic. Identity aligns. Carnegie once said that he could smell a man's future by how he spoke. The man who says, I hope, is harmless. The man who says, I will, is dangerous. But the man who says, it already is, he commands heaven and earth. That is the power of mental ownership. You must now expand your vision beyond your past, beyond your income, beyond your education, beyond what anyone around you has achieved. You must imagine a future so real, so precise, so powerful, that fear has no place to sit in your mind, because when vision is strong, opposition weakens. Fear cannot stand in the face of clarity. Confusion cannot live in the mind ruled by law. Do not fear being called unrealistic. All progress was once called madness. Ford imagined a world of cars when horses ruled the roads. Rockefeller saw a national oil empire when others lit candles. Edison envisioned electric cities when others laughed at the idea of light without flame. Imagination is not delusion, it is command. You are not here to remember what was. You are here to design what will be. You are not here to cope with life, you are here to construct it. You are not here to replay failure. You are here to rehearse dominion. That is the path of the 1%. You will know you are changing when your inner world becomes stronger than your outer one. When you no longer react to what is seen, but walk with calm confidence in what is imagined. That is when people will feel fire in your words. That is when presence will surround you like an unseen force. Not because you worked harder, but because you saw further. You are now a builder of the unseen. Let this be your rhythm. Speak your future aloud. Picture it daily. Rehearse it without pause. You are not drifting. You are not guessing. You are now instructing the invisible, and the invisible will shape the visible in your image. Say it one final time. I do not dream idly. I create with authority. The dreamer wanders. The builder obeys. You are now the builder. Part 5. The 1% think in silence, not in noise. The average man cannot bear silence. He fears it. He fills his hours with noise, his minutes with distractions, his mornings with chatter. He surrounds himself with stimulation, not because it brings clarity, but because it helps him avoid clarity. Noise shields him from what he does not want to hear, truth. In silence, truth speaks. In silence, illusion dies. In silence, the real questions arise. But the top 1%, they run to silence. They crave it. They protect it. They build it into their days like sacred ground. They retreat into silence not to escape the world, but to command it. Because they know silence is not emptiness. Silence is sanctuary. It is the throne room of law. It is the fire in which vision is sharpened. It is where false thoughts are burned and true direction is revealed. The man of purpose walks alone, not out of pride, but out of clarity. He must think without interruption. He must sit with doubt, not to indulge it, but to break it. He must guard his mind like a fortress. Rockefeller took long walks in total silence, no company, no conversations, no devices. He turned over decisions in his mind like precious stones. He did not ask for advice from every direction. He did not scroll for opinions. He walked. He thought. He decided. That is the way of kings. Carnegie would plan yearly retreats, entire weeks in total withdrawal. No meetings, no letters, just reflection and inner command. Why? Because the man who thinks clearly for 1 hour outpaces the man who reacts daily for years. Silence amplifies thought, and thought, when ordered, moves the world. The 99% think aloud. They blurt plans before they've matured. They speak fears instead of solving them. They ask questions before they sit with them. Their thoughts are shallow, easily shaken, easily replaced. They are lit by sparks, not fire. You must now train yourself to enter deep silence daily. It is not a luxury. It is law. No music, no messages, no motion, just breath, thought, and vision. Say it. I protect my mind from noise. My thoughts create wealth. Again and again until you feel the stillness form inside you. You are no longer a man who needs sound. You are now a man who can create fire from the void. You are not filled by the world. You are filled by the word you speak in silence. If silence makes you anxious, you have not yet mastered yourself. If you need to be told what to think, you are not yet sovereign. If you panic without input, you have not yet entered command. But that ends now. You are no longer a servant of noise. You are no longer guided by the outer world. You are now a sovereign mind. You create in silence. You build in imagination. You command in thought. You are now among the 1%. The 1% path, law, silence, and identity. They do not drift because they lack time. They drift because they lack silence. Silence, absence. It is presence. It is the arena where infinite intelligence speaks, not in thunder, but in stillness, not in reaction, but in rhythm. And the man who sits in it daily will begin to feel himself separating from the masses, not in arrogance, but in clarity. You must now block sacred time for silence, at least once each day. Sit, walk, or stand without distraction. Bring your written aim. Reflect on your direction. Ask yourself the commanding questions. What is my next instruction? What decision have I delayed? What must I now obey to move forward? And then listen. Not to the world, but to the voice within. The temptation will arise to check your phone, to scan the world, to escape the discomfort of being alone with your thoughts. Resist it. This is your discipline. This is your altar. You are not wasting time. You are sharpening vision. You are not escaping life. You are preparing to master it. In silence, your true fears will rise. Your neglected ambitions will whisper. Your hidden misalignments will come into view. That is why most people avoid it. But the 1% embrace it, because once seen, a weakness can be corrected. And once corrected, your trajectory can never be the same. Say it again. I protect my mind from noise. My thoughts create wealth. Let that become your creed. Let that shape your mornings and seal your nights. This is not a luxury. This is law. No man who shaped the world did so without solitude. No man who fears silence will ever command his destiny. You are now walking in law, and law needs space to echo. You are shaping thought, and thought needs depth. You are commanding a future, and a future needs clarity. You are not merely working, you are building. And builders need silence to hear the structure of what they are constructing. Silence reveals the next step. It refines your aim. It exposes the false. It strengthens the unseen muscles that no audience can applaud, but which hold up your entire world. You must not merely practice silence. You must live in rhythm with it. You are no longer a man pulled by noise. You are not just a voice among millions. You are the one who speaks from depth, who acts from knowing, who decides not from pressure, but from power. Say it one final time. I protect my mind from noise. My thoughts create wealth. And so they will, because you now think in silence as the masters once did. You are no longer reacting. You are now creating. You are no longer escaping. You are now building. Part 5. The 1% think from identity, not emotion. The average man lives by emotion. He waits to feel confident before he speaks. He waits to feel motivated before he acts. He checks how he feels before deciding who he is. This is the reason so many collapse at the first sign of challenge. They have built houses on sand. I'll act when I feel strong, they say. But strength does not visit such men. Strength visits the man who acts first and feels second. The man who thinks from identity, not emotion. The 1% do not wait to feel like it. They do not consult their moods before making decisions. They do not submit their lives to the weather of the day. They decide who they are, and then they obey it. They act not as they feel, but as they have declared to be. Their minds are governed by internal law, not emotional impulse. They speak from rhythm, not reaction. Their actions are consistent because their identities are installed. Abraham Lincoln was despised by half his country. His closest men doubted him. He suffered inner torment, constant conflict, but he acted, not from how he felt, but from the identity he had carved in solitude. He had already decided in the silence who he was. So when the storm came, he did not search for courage. He simply walked forward because courage had already become his nature. Identity is a law you write for yourself. Emotion is a reaction written by the world. Most men are ruled by emotional states they never question. They say, I'm tired, I'm unmotivated, I'm uncertain. These are not truths. These are states, and states change. But identity, when declared and obeyed, becomes your compass. It rewrites your emotions, it commands your thoughts, it governs your behavior. Say it now. I am not a man of feelings, I am a man of law. Say it again until the voice within begins to shift, until you stop asking, how do I feel, and start commanding, who have I decided to be? That is the mark of the 1%. They rise before they feel ready. They speak before fear makes its case. They act from installed pattern, not from public persuasion. When you wake, your body may resist, your mind may wander, your soul may feel hesitant, but you act, not because you feel like it, but because you are a man who acts. You do not wait for emotion to permit your mission. You act because identity has been declared. That is power. The average man acts when he feels like it. The 1% act until they feel it. And by acting, they create the very state that others are still waiting for. Do not wait for confidence, speak it. Do not wait for readiness, move as if you are. Do not wait for motivation, install it through action. Repetition creates identity. Identity commands action. Action shapes destiny. This is the cycle of transformation. But it must be installed. You must speak it, you must repeat it. You must write the law of who you are until it becomes louder than your temporary weakness. Every morning, speak the identity you are becoming, not as a hope, but as command. I am a builder. I act in law. I command results. I am unshaken. I rise with direction. I move with fire. And let your body obey even before your emotions catch up, because they always will. Emotion is a powerful servant, but a destructive master. It is useful only when it follows identity. When it leads, it distorts. When it reacts, it weakens. You cannot build a life by feeling your way forward. You must decide your way forward. You must carve your image into the world through disciplined thought and spoken law. That is how the 1% live. They do not guess. They declare. Do not say, I feel like a failure. Say, I am a man of persistence. Do not say, I'm afraid. Say, I act with decision. Do not say, I lack discipline. Say, I'm a man of pattern and law. Words repeated become laws etched into the subconscious, and those laws shape the way you walk, speak, and decide. The 1% know that emotion will come and go, but identity, when declared and installed, remains. The stronger the identity, the smaller the fear. The clearer the declaration, the faster the action. That is why they walk differently, speak differently, decide differently. They are not guided by how they feel. They are ruled by who they have decided to be, and so must you. The 1% builder's code. You may be tired, but the builder builds. You may be nervous, but the man of purpose speaks. You may feel weak, but the one who obeys law walks with certainty. This is not pretending. This is command. This is mental kingship. This is spiritual decision. Say it now, and say it with finality. I am not a man of feelings. I am a man of law. Do not say it once. Say it until it is true. Say it until your old identity falls away like dead skin. Say it until you no longer recognize the man who once waited to feel ready. That man is gone, burned in the fire of discipline, replaced by a man of rhythm. And this rhythm is not an accident. It is not mystery. It is repetition. Daily repetition of truth spoken, aim declared. Pattern obeyed. That is the forge of identity, and from it all action flows. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer asking permission from your mood. You are no longer responding to weakness. You have declared who you are, and now everything you do must obey that law. Not some days. Every day. One last time, I am not a man of feelings. I am a man of law. This is your weapon. This is your compass. This is your answer to doubt, fear, laziness, fatigue, and uncertainty. When they speak, you speak louder. You remind them that you have already decided who you are, and that decision is final. Part 6. The 1% think in systems, not in effort. The average man wakes each day as if it were new territory. He decides again what time to rise, what tasks to begin, whether or not to act. His energy is wasted not in effort, but in indecision. He repeats yesterday's chaos and calls it work. He is busy, but not structured. He moves but does not advance. He reacts but does not rule. The top 1% do not begin their day with questions. They begin with execution because their decisions have already been made. Their law is already written. Their system is already installed. They do not ask, "What should I do today?" They do what they always do. That is how a system works. That is how cosmic habit force obeys its master. Henry Ford did not build an empire by trying harder each day. He built it by organizing thought into process, by turning scattered effort into machinery, by eliminating uncertainty through system. Every bolt, every motion, every worker on the line had a rhythm, a defined role. It wasn't effort that built Ford's empire. It was system. Effort without system is exhaustion. System without effort is theory. But system enforced by law becomes multiplication. That is what the 1% understand. The man with a system needs no motivation because his discipline is already embedded. His actions are not negotiable. His future is not left to chance. Say this aloud and often: I obey my system. My system builds success without emotion. You are no longer a man of reaction. You are becoming a man of law, and law demands repetition. You must now install patterns that are immune to mood. That is the structure of ascendancy. Most men ask, how do I stay disciplined? The 1% never ask that question because discipline is not something they search for. It is something they design. They craft morning routines, they install evening reviews, they define daily aims, they fix their waking hour, they schedule thinking time. They eliminate decisions until all that remains is execution. Your system is your scaffold. It holds the future in place. Without it, you drift. With it, you rise. Without it, you negotiate. With it, you execute. Your feelings may fluctuate, but your system does not. That is why it must be written. That is why it must be obeyed. That is why the 1% rise while the 99% wander. Build your 90-day system. This is your test. Write the waking hour. Write your morning pattern. Water, written aim, spoken identity, movement, focused action. Write your evening ritual. Review results. Plan tomorrow. Affirm your law. Write your key outcomes. Make them daily. Make them non-negotiable. This is not complicated. This is not trendy. This is structure, and structure makes men. Chaos breaks them. The builder wakes and moves. The drifter wakes and thinks. The builder has already decided. The drifter is still asking for permission. Do not waste another hour wondering what to do. Write your law. Write your rhythm. Obey it. You will not feel free, but you will become powerful. You will not feel spontaneous, but you will become certain. Freedom does not come from escape. It comes from order. And the highest order is a self-governed system. Say it again. I obey my system. My system builds success without emotion. This is your rhythm now. No more gambling with your mornings. No more chaos at night. No more inconsistent thought. No more scattered plans. You are not here to try harder. You are here to build something permanent. And permanence is birthed from system. Cosmic habit force does not respond to emotion. It responds to repetition. The subconscious mind does not obey talk. It obeys pattern. Thought repeated becomes routine. Routine repeated becomes character. Character repeated becomes destiny. This is not theory. This is spiritual law. And now it is your law. The reason you falter is not lack of discipline. It is lack of system. You ask too often. You choose too frequently. Your mind is exhausted by options. Cut the options. Replace them with law. That is how the builder rises. That is how the 1% never miss. They do not depend on willpower. They depend on structure. They do not ask if today will be different. They have already decided. Obedient to system. Obedient to identity. Obedient to aim. Your schedule is not a cage. It is a throne. It does not imprison you. It enthrones your clarity. The man without rhythm is vulnerable. But the man who rises, speaks, writes, moves, and acts without fail is invincible. Because he no longer waits for life to push him. He has become the force. Say it once more. I obey my system. My system builds success without emotion. Say it when you don't feel like acting. Say it when you want to delay. Say it when your past whispers weakness. And then move. Move law. Move in rhythm. Move in decision. You are not building discipline. You are building system. You are not chasing motivation. You are installing rhythm. You are not hoping for a better future. You are commanding it through organized thought. Your old life was built by accident. Your new life will be built by pattern. Your old days were ruled by how you felt. Your new days are ruled by what you've written. That is the path. That is the rhythm. That is how kings think. The law of accurate thought and command. The top 1% do not hope. They think. They do not rely on fantasy. They rely on law. The average man confuses emotion for principle. He says, I believe it will work, but when asked why, he cannot answer. He moves on feelings, not facts. He repeats slogans, not truths. He surrounds himself with comfort, not correction. He fears silence because in silence, truth demands change. But the 1% think with precision. They separate truth from opinion, principle from preference, evidence from emotion. They understand that wealth does not obey wishful thinking, it obeys accurate thought. And accurate thought is the rarest discipline in the world. Say it now, I do not hope. I think with precision. Feel the shift. The man who hopes waits. The man who thinks acts. The man who hopes reacts. The man who thinks creates. Hope may comfort you, but it will never build your fortune. Andrew Carnegie did not build empires with yes men. He built them with accurate thinkers. He demanded clarity, not flattery. He asked, what are the facts, and sat in silence until he had them. If the evidence changed, he changed, because he obeyed truth, not ego. That is where the 99% fall. They form opinions and seek confirmation. They decide first, then bend reality to protect pride. But the top 1% pursue only what is. They discard assumptions. They kill emotion that clouds judgment. That is why they lead. You must now begin the discipline of accurate thinking. Ask yourself, is this fact or opinion? Do I know this or merely assume it? Is this thought mine or inherited from drifting masses? And when you don't know, admit it. Only the proud defend ignorance. Write 2 columns, one for what you know, one for what you assume. Then eliminate assumptions. Replace them with research, reflection, or silence. You don't need more thoughts, you need clearer ones. And clarity begins by cutting, not adding. Emotion is the enemy of accuracy. The man who reacts in fear or anger loses precision. The mind clouded by ego cannot see. The man who must be right will remain wrong. But the man who seeks what is right, no matter the cost, will rise. Say again, I do not hope. I think with precision. Let that become your law. From now on, your plans are based on proof. Your beliefs must be tested. Your thoughts are questioned before they are obeyed. You are no longer led by emotion. You are led by clarity. Most men fall not from a lack of talent, but from building their lives on assumption. They trusted the wrong voices. They followed feelings with no anchor. They made decisions that felt good, not because they were good, and when the storm came, they fell. You will not fall. You now obey the law of accurate thought. You will seek truth even when it wounds. You will pursue correction even when it humbles. You will demand clarity even when it costs comfort. Because greatness, wealth, and legacy are only given to those who can be trusted with truth. Think and Grow Rich does not say, hope and grow rich. It demands thought, accurate, disciplined, tested. That is how the 1% builds empires while the masses build excuses. When you face a decision, pause and ask, what do I know? What am I assuming? What would an accurate thinker do? That is how you train the mind to lead instead of follow. That is how you become sovereign. Change your language. Don't say, I think this might work. Say, I have confirmed this will work. Don't say, it feels right. Say, it aligns with my law. Don't say, I hope. Say, I know because I've tested. There is no neutral thought. All thought builds or destroys. Your mind is no longer a playground. It is a construction site. Every thought must serve your aim or be eliminated. Now say it again. I do not hope. I think with precision. This is the voice of the 1%. This is the discipline of the builder. This is the clarity of command. And now, part 8, command. The top 1% think to give orders, not to beg for permission. The average man waits. He waits for signs, for applause, for consensus. He whispers his dreams, hoping someone will approve. That is not leadership. That is begging. The 1% think like kings. They do not wait to be chosen. They choose themselves. They do not ask if they may move. They move. Say it now. I do not beg. I do not ask. I decide, and I command. This is your new tone. This is your new spine. Life was never meant to be requested. It is to be declared. Thomas Edison did not ask success to notice him. He commanded the light to obey. He gave orders to his imagination, demanded results from his thoughts, and built structure from fire. The world bends to the man who decides. You must stop asking, can I? And start declaring, I will. No more, I hope to finish. Say, I finish. No more, I'll try to focus. Say, I focus. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. The subconscious does not respond to wandering, it responds to clarity. Repetition is not ritual, it is instruction. The more you speak your law, the more your entire being begins to obey. Write daily orders to yourself, not ideas, orders. At 6 a.m. I rise, at 6:30 I act, at 7 I build. That is not rigidity, that is war. You are in war now, against drift, against delay, against the thief called someday. Most men never rise because no one told them they could command. No one told them they didn't need permission. But now you know, power is taken through law, rhythm, and repetition. Say again, I do not beg, I do not ask, I decide, and I command. Train your voice. Speak daily in orders, declarations, and decrees. Eliminate weak speech. Replace I'm trying with I do. Replace maybe with it is done. The world will always obey the man who speaks as if he already is. The subconscious obeys the present tense. When your voice becomes strong, clear, and repetitive, your body will follow, your mind will sharpen, and the world will shift. You are not becoming, you are already becoming now. Not through magic, but through structure. Through repetition, through discipline, through command. Say it once more. I do not beg, I do not ask, I decide, and I command. Let that become your rhythm. You now know the truth. Hard work is not enough. Every man must work, but the 1% rise because of how they think before they act. They write law before they labor. They speak structure before they sweat. This is not motivation. This is your mandate. Now stand. Speak your law, write your commands, build your system. Think with clarity, act with identity. You are no longer a drifter. You are now a builder. You are no longer waiting. You are now creating. You are no longer asking. You are now commanding. This is how you become. This is how you lead. This is how you rise. Not through chance, but through law. Now go.